So the first 2 days we have been talking about different movements or into being, different entrances. And today I want to kind of, move a little bit more deeply in to be the beloved. What is the beloved? And not with the intention that when we name it, we know it. No, it's often when we name something, it can become an obstruction to know it. And the first 2 days I've been expressing, what's not the beloved. And part of what's not the beloved is the person. The person is not the beloved. At least the person can be the beloved, but it's not the beloved when we are entangled in it. And it doesn't mean that the beloved is not there. The whole dimension, atmosphere of the beloved is always there. In religion, the beloved is very much associated with God. But then we did something criminal, in a way, with this. So the criminal thing we did with this is that we placed God outside ourselves. And by placing God outside ourselves, we made him other, a stranger. And of course, when we place God outside ourselves and we make him other, we make him a stranger, because he's almighty, we give him authority. When I say him, we also make him a him, or her a him, or it a him. And that's the danger when you start to name something. It becomes an object, and we can place this object outside ourselves. And in this we are losing the depth of connection, which is always there. So a lot of us are associating the beloved with light. Because light is good. But then it seems that we are fearing the light more as anything else. It's often when we move into deeper experience and we move to the experience of light, we're not able to welcome or to relax in it when the light is coming forward. it's not that the light is visiting us. The light is always there. It's just that we come in a position where we are more able to open up to this aspect of creation. It's really always there. It's not your light. It's just the light. And then when it comes forward more, because something opens up inside us for this light. So often what we do is we retract because we're not ready. Something is not okay yet. We still need to fix something. And basically this is a reflection of the fear of rejection. And the fear of rejection is based on authority. Authority telling us, sorry, I made a mistake in visiting you. This is the projection outwards. You're not okay. And this is very much the role we take upon ourselves. In opening yourself to the light, in opening yourself to the beloved, which is not exactly the same as light. The beloved is darkness and light, and moves beyond darkness and light. So in opening ourselves for the light, we don't really need to work on ourselves. It's not like that we first have to to release all our traumas and our blocks, and then, at a certain moment we are ready. We don't need to be perfect. We don't need to be good enough. But we have to take a risk. And this is not a risk of rejection. Why would our finger reject our body? Why would a part of us reject the rest? The only part of us which is rejecting is the mind. The mind can reject the body. The mind can reject another person. So the beloved, as much as it's around us, is inside us. And the movement, the risk to surrender to the beloved, is a movement inwards, more as a movement outwards. It's a movement, through what is more essential or more truth inside ourselves. It is a surrender to what in the depths of ourselves feels like real. Real. It's a movement beyond illusion. And illusion is a difficult word, because we are not really know what is illusion and what's not illusion. But in daily life we build a lot of illusion. What other people are thinking about us, we don't even know it. But we build illusion around it. What we think we are. What we think we have to be. What we think how it should be. All of this, when you look at it, is basically illusion. It's all not on what is right now. Somebody's shouting at you and somebody else is saying, but he doesn't really mean it. It's illusion. The only real thing is that you are shouted at and the impact it has on your system. That's what's happening. It's not even important if the other person means it or not. This is a whole realm of illusion. Because, if the person doesn't mean it, you shouldn't be impacted so much. He doesn't really mean it, so, don't let it have an impact. Don't cry. Because, the other person didn't mean it. That's illusion. Can you see that this is illusion? This is not a reality. The reality is the impact. And even if the other person is totally innocent in what happened, still the impact is on you. And doesn't mean that we have to blame the other person, but we have to deal with the impact. So the whole movement into guilt, and the opposite of guilt, or the duality of guilt, is accusation. To accuse. So if we don't want to feel the guilt, we accuse. We're not to blame. It's because of you. So that this whole movement is based on illusion. Guilt is a feeling which is not productive at all. If we feel guilty, it creates a movement of separation. If we feel guilty, we move out of connection. It's like, when you look in families, often what you see is that guilt goes around like a kind of a blackjack. So who can be accused? Who's to blame? Because who is to blame is outside. It's not right, it's wrong. But when we look at the whole movement of guilt and accusation, it's a movement to kind of move to a deeper aspect which is inside ourselves, which is basically lost. which is always there, which is deeper, which again is connected with the beloved. It's innocence. By accusing another person, we try to move back in our own innocence. By trying to kind of lift our guilt, we try to move back to our own innocence. So the whole polarity of guilt and accusation basically is an illusion. It's an illusion that somebody else has authority over your feelings, your thoughts, your life. We can only be our own author. And this is we can only be our own author. And this is taking responsibility, the ability to respond. So to take the risk to surrender to the beloved, to surrender to the depth of yourself, that means that layers of illusions will be revealed and just fall off. It's not real. What we lose is what is not real. And there is a kind of logic in it. We cannot hold on to fantasies if we want to surrender to a deeper reality. We cannot hold on to how it should be if we surrender into being. We cannot hold on to tomorrow or yesterday when we surrender to the moment. So, what is the experience of surrendering to the beloved? It's a surrender into being. It's a surrender into awareness, expanded awareness. It's a surrender into love. But not into love in a form that it is love you can grasp or averse. It's a surrender into a love which is always there, the source of love. This is not your love, nor the love of somebody else. It's not to be possessed. When we try to possess this love, something awful is happening. We grab it, and then in grabbing it, automatically what's coming forward is conditions, where the source of love has no conditions. And then the horrible thing what is happening is that the conditions are becoming more important than the love. And we disappear in the conditions. And all these conditions are illusions. I will love you if you never, never, never will leave me, never will betray me. That's an illusion. I'm not saying that everybody is betraying and everybody is leaving, but it's an illusion to think that this is under the control of love. And again, the love gets lost in the fear of betrayal. The love gets lost into the possessiveness which comes from this. You are mine. So what is yours? Is the other person yours? What is yours? Do you possess the other person? So what happens when you feel possessed? You choke. You shut off. You shrink. That's when we look to a deeper level, the level of the beloved, we meet each other in love. There is a sweetness created between us. And this sweetness is not something we can possess. That happens. We cannot control this sweetness. We can only surrender to it. The moment we try to control the sweetness kind of slowly gets lost. If it has to be like this, it will not be like this. Because then we freeze the sweetness in time and space. It has to be all the time the same. And it is not all the time the same. It's every moment different. And at the same time, it's more stable as anything else. But it is life. It changes all the time. And at the same time, it's the same. So we can find the beloved between people or between animals, between us and an animal, between us and a flower. We can find the beloved inside ourselves. And the moment we find the beloved and we are able to kind of to move with it, something really miraculous is happening. Even if it's for a few moments, we start really to be in the now, in the here and now. It's when we fall in love, we move into the now. When we move into the now, we feel really, really alive. That's why we want to be in love, because being in love is such a good feeling, because we move into the now. We feel alive. It gives color to our lives. All the colors are getting brighter. The world looks sunny. People look friendly. It's like a deep opening up of the heart and reaching out in hope and joy. So when we kind of surrender to this aspect of ourselves, or this aspect of life, again what falls off is all the illusions, everything which is not real. This is the only thing we will lose, what will die. It will burn off, literally. The feeling that it will burn off. It's a process of purification. Which is such an incredible relief. It's such a relief when we don't need to pretend anymore. Just imagine, how it is if you don't need to pretend anymore. It just is what it is. It's kind of a relief, isn't it? We can just be what we are. And the strange thing is if we kind of move into this layer of being what we are so welcomed. We're welcomed by the animals around ourselves, we're welcomed by the trees, we're welcomed by the world, we're welcomed by the universe. It's a homecoming inside yourself. But at the same time, it's also a homecoming in life itself. Homecoming in the universe. And in this, it's so important to realize that the universe didn't separate us from itself. It can't. It just can't. We are part of the universe. To say, basically that our finger is not ours. It's not part, it's not connected. Even if we cut it off, it's still connected. It has been part of us. You understand? It's built of our flesh and blood. So we're built of the flesh and the blood of the universe. The universe doesn't separate itself from us. The light doesn't separate itself from us. The world doesn't separate us from itself. The kingdom of God doesn't separate itself from us. We are the ones who are separating ourselves from it. We are the ones who are separating ourselves from ourselves. And that's a kind of craziness, I think. And there's 1,000 million reasons to do this. But all these reasons are connected with it's not okay. I'm not okay. It's not okay. And maybe we're separating ourselves because, we have a big difficulty with accepting that life is not only good. Life in itself is neither good or bad. But it moves through polarity in how it is expressed or received. And then through this kind of polarity, through the physical, it moves into polarity, and this polarity is good and bad. Partly of the polarity is good and bad. That's how we reflect on life. And again, there will be a perfect balance between good and bad. That means that this creation, this world, is perfectly good and perfectly bad. It means that we have to deal with both, with the good and the bad. But we are neither. We're in a position where if you move to the depths of yourself, you're neither good or bad. Good or bad are forms. It's the form you give to yourself. And it's a relative form. So what good is for one could be bad for another. It's really relative. Neither, if you move into the depths of the beloved, means that there is no more suffering.
It doesn't mean that?
Yeah. It's not the end of suffering. But it's the end of the biggest suffering of all. Suffering of separation. The suffering under the illusion of the separate self. Suffering of the deep feeling that we don't belong, that we are not part of. Suffering under loneliness. suffering under rejection or acceptance. Suffering under failure. Or success. These are all measurements we kind of put on things. Basically, it is what it is. And the measurement already is an illusion. It's all a process. What is success? The sheer basis of success is if you express something and it's understood. That is the sheer basis of success. That gives a deep feeling of satisfaction. I am understood. So it's part of the structure of how we learn to communicate. So a baby is making sounds, and then at a certain moment, the sound is understood. It's a word. And that gives a deep feeling of satisfaction. This is success. This is the basis of success.
Could you say more? I don't get it.
So the basis of success is a biological drive to be able to communicate, to be understood, to be part of, to connect. So if a young child starts to talk and the words he's saying are understood, this gives a deep feeling of satisfaction, of success. This is also how the mother relates to the child or the father relates to the child. When the child says a word, we're so happy because it speaks the first word. And of course, the first word has to be
Mama.
It's often Mo.
It's often Mo.
The easy one.
So we give meaning to it, and we see it as an affirmation. And it gives us a feeling of success, and it gives the baby a feeling of success. You recognize this joy that something has succeeded. It's the joy that something is finished. The joy that something is expressed, which is recognizable. This is success. This is the basis of success. It's not to have 1 million. That's something else. You understand? Also, that can give a feeling of success. But that's not the basis of it. So the most joy is in the process of to talk, the process to share, the process of sharing, communicating, not in the outcome. This is where illusion starts. The process of understanding the depth of the conversation which takes place, the togetherness which is there. This is the whole realm of the beloved. So the outcome is not that important. The process is more important because the outcome is changing all the time. If you don't find each other today, we will find each other tomorrow. It's an ongoing process. An ongoing process of building, of communication and giving form. An ongoing learning process. An ongoing challenge. So if we are focused on success, which is a suffering, that means it has to be perfect today, or it has to be perfect tomorrow. So if it has to be perfect tomorrow, it gives a pressure. Or it has to be perfect today. And we get totally focused when is it perfect, when everybody is bowing for you. So you can exist. And in this, a lot of pleasure, a lot of joy, a lot of togetherness, a lot of connection we find in the process gets lost, because it becomes all about me. I have to be successful. I have to be okay. This is the separation. This is all symptoms of separation, and a separation which is an illusion. It's not real. But we believe in it as a reality. You recognize what I'm talking about. But when you really analyze it and look at it, you see it's not real, it's not there. Even not in our daily lives right now. What do we like? We like to feel the feeling of togetherness. We like the feeling of being in a process, to have a good conversation. We like to paint. Sometimes you even feel a feeling of regret or pain when a painting is finished. Because the process is giving more in the end as the product. We like to discuss. And the same feeling of regret we can feel when the discussion is finished. So that's why we kind of go on with discussing. We change places all the time in discussions, because otherwise it could finish. But so the movement in the beloved is a movement in what is more alive, what is more essential, what is more real. It's the movement also towards inside the depth of your own quality. And this quality, this is how we in the depth recognize each other. Of course we recognize each other by the form, by the body, how somebody talks, how somebody acts. But if you feel the love of another person, then the love of each person has slightly a different taste. And this slightly different taste, which we say, okay, this is specific you, this taste, this feeling, this atmosphere. This, for some people we feel or experience this as more yummy, and other people a little bit less yummy. It's always okay, love. But some people the love is more yummy. That's the taste of the quality behind it, the color it moves through, the color it gets. And it's not really a different color, but a slightly a different shade. So that this taste is connected with the quality. It's like light falling through a diamond, and each diamond is unique. So the reflection of each diamond is slightly different from another diamond. And this reflection is connected with the quality of the diamond. So basically we have this incredible source of love, and this source of love is moving through everything which is alive and connecting everything which is alive. And everything what is alive is reflecting this slightly different, in a slightly different taste. And that's the quality. That's the quality in the depths of the essence of the person. So the more you're in touch with your own quality, the more you're able to feel, connect to, recognize the quality of the other. The depth of the other. To see what's behind the whole life struggle as a reality. Behind the good and the bad as a reality, which is neither good nor bad. And this part, there is always peace, there is always love, there is always unity. There's always innocence, there's always purity. That gets never lost. So in Christianity, they call this the soul. We're talking about the soul. Or the essence, or the essential, or the inner light. In Judaism, they call it the inner light. There's many names for the same thing, many ways to kind of talk about it and to reflect to it. Nobody can lose his soul. It's like losing your physical heart. You are dead. Doesn't exist, is not possible. We cannot lose our soul. Nobody can have our soul. The story that the devil comes and takes our soul away, not possible, because it's not our soul. You cannot take away something what is not from a person. Our soul is part of the dimension of souls, and in the end all the souls are connected and come together as one soul, and this one soul we call God. In creation, if you move with the biblical story, God created the world and He gives everything which is alive a little bit of His life, a little bit of Himself. That's creating. If we make a painting, we put a little bit of ourselves in it. And if we're able to care and love to the process of creation, to put a little bit of ourselves, the painting becomes more alive. It's like it has a life. It's not as perfect as the life which is created by the universe or by God or by whatever we call it. It doesn't matter. But it comes alive. We are able to do this as well. So it's not your soul, it's part of something which is much bigger. It's not something to be possessed. It's not something which can be stolen. So what the devil can do is make you believe that you're separate from this. That it doesn't exist. That it is gone. That it is not a reality. And the moment we move into this, and it's important to understand, we move into the world of illusion. And, you know, I'm not here to talk about the devil, and that's not really important. But it's important to understand that the separation is a movement into the world of illusion. The illusion that there is no love. And when we move very deeply in the illusion that there is no love, all the light is moving out of our lives and we become depressed. Nothing makes sense anymore. It's the care which is the source. It starts with care, which is the first form, I think, and from care comes forward love, peace. It's always there. And that gives sense to our lives. If we lose the connection with this, it becomes senseless, depressed, empty. If there is some love, some joy, some happiness, which are all expressions of love, it's all connected with opening of the heart. Joy is the first opening, a deeper opening is happiness, and a deeper opening brings forward bliss or ecstasy. So allowing the beloved is so much also connected with opening the heart, allowing your heart to open in its own natural way. And that means that we have to go out of the way. And with we, what I mean is all the conditions we place on it. The person,